I would suggest to anybody that's going through a lot of side effects and different emotions at this time that, you know, it can come much better than what you're experiencing just now. I've had a great year the last year, and I never ever thought that I would ever experience that again. At this stage, I really felt very emotional because my life had completely changed by this. 1 minute I was enjoying myself, having Christmas and New Year with the family, because although my chest infection was still kind of hanging about, I still managed to get up and have a decent enough time. But now by this stage, I was worthless. I just really couldn't cope. And I also felt bad for my family because I couldn't do much at all. I could hardly move out my bed. I had to hold on to the units to go to the ensuite toilet. And even at that, it was so painful to sit down on the toilet. Everything had just completely changed. My husband was a bit of a workaholic and was always on the go. The most he ever sleeps is 6 hours a day, so we always lived a kind of full and good social life. We would go to the pictures at least once a week. We would have friends, we're members of a bowling club, I would go there quite often. And this kind of all had to stop because I couldn't really do anything. And Don was also cutting his working hours down because he felt he could cope coming home with seeing me in bed. And I did only cope with the Sutent for 2 full cycles. That was like 6 weeks. And like even after my first 6 weeks, I used to wake up and think, am I still here? I actually thought it was so bad I would die in the middle of the night. But anyway, I survived that, and they said, oh, you are really bad, and we see what you're suffering. I mean, every side effect that you see in the drug box, I had suffered that. Actually, not all at the same time, but I think I've suffered everything and even more. So they reduced me to 3 tablets a day instead of 4. So that was from 50 milligrams to 37.5. I coped with that a bit better, but I was still constantly being sick. And then I had chronic diarrhea on the 4th, 5th and 6th week of the cycle. The cycle lasts for 6 weeks. Then the first 3 weeks I actually had constipation. So it went from that. But the diarrhea I took tablets for, they didn't really work either. And the sickness, it was the sort of basic tablets that you got, and they didn't work either. My platelets used to go down to actually about 10. So when I was being sick, there was actually, I was like Dracula, there was actually purple bits going on my face and my neck, and I constantly looked like that. Not only that, but I used to put on a stone and 4 pound it was that I used to put on, and my eyes used to fill up massively. I had like small slits in my eyes, and the rest was full of fluid. I wore dark glasses if I had to go out for appointments and stuff like that, but that was kind of, I didn't often go. My optician, I went there to get my yearly eye test, and she says, you can't go about looking like this. There is masses of fluid behind you. She referred me to the Gartnavel for the eye clinic. And they were very nice to me there, and they actually took photographs of me and sent them to Pfizer, who manufactures Sutent, and basically told them that this was one of the side effects. I also suffered an awful lot of nosebleeds. I could be drinking soup or a hot cup of tea, and the next thing my nose would start to gush, and it just wouldn't stop. And I must have been admitted to hospital about 6 times for nosebleeds, and I was in for 3 or 4 days because I usually always lost that much blood. I had to get blood transfused, and I had to have my nose packed, and then I had to get it cauterised. So I eventually bought a stops nose bleeding spray and boots, and it was horrible to actually administer, but I rather would have done that and spend 3 or 4 days in hospital. The side effects were so bad again that they thought, I'm going to have to reduce you to 2 Sutent. So that happened, and I was on 2 Sutent for a year, and I'm led to believe that I was the first patient in the Beatson to be reduced to that level of tablet. But that worked for about a year, and then my tumour started to grow. So at that point, I had to go back up to 3. But by this stage, I managed to cope because I was on ondansetron for sickness. That was a much more expensive tablet. I don't know how much it would be now, but at the time it was £8 a tablet, whereas the normal sickness tablets were a few pence or something like that. So the ondansetron really changed me overnight, and so did the lower dosage of Sutent. So I started to pick up a better life. That was after about 3 years of being in Sutent. So I was on the 3 tablets for a long time. I wasn't getting as many side effects. I was actually coping with them very well. I knew my body. I knew my good weeks and my bad weeks. Things like going on holiday, I could go because I knew I would usually be okay, provided my bloods were okay. The day after I had went to the Beatson for my check-up. Previously, what I had to do was go to the Beatson, get my blood results. Very often they were low, so I was getting kept in for magnesium, calcium, bloods, potassium, what have you. And then the idea of a holiday that at that particular time would be ditched. We need to wait to my next visit and see how things were, or after a scan or whatever. From there, it changed because I felt more confident. I could book a week or 2 in advance and cross my fingers and just hope that my bloods were okay, because they usually were. But latterly, what was happening was, because of the long-term use of Sutent, was magnesium and calcium were always having to get topped up. And that was usually a 3 or 4 day stay. It depended whether there was a weekend included in that or not. But it did, it was 24 hours for calcium, and it was usually 2 times 12 hours for magnesium. But by the time you shower, by the time, you're unplugging the drip several times a day, and then when you're waiting for another drip, you don't get it done immediately. It might be a couple of hours before the nurses get round to transferring one drip to another drip, and then you're waiting on blood test results and stuff like that. So it was taking up that time. So this happened about 6 times, and after that I actually get taken off Sutent. I've now been off Sutent for a year, and I'm getting regular scans every 12 weeks, and at the moment there's been no growth on my tumours. They're still very much there. I've got a 7 by 6 by 7 kidney tumour, and I've still got a wee tumour in my aorta lymph node, as well as the brain, and I've got another tumour somewhere else. But because they're stable, they've been able to keep me off the Sutent, and my life is just great. I wish it would be like this forever, but I realise that at one point they are going to grow again, and I am going to have to be put on another medication, and that's going to be tough because I've had a really good year. I mean, I go to aerobics. I actually do a college course on a Monday. Aqua aerobics it is, it's not aerobics. I'm not that fit, and I do a lot of walking, which I didn't used to be able to do. and I can usually, you know, book weekends away or overnights away in advance, and I know that at the moment I'll usually be okay. But you've still got that issue of cancer, and I do still have to have a nap. Sometimes it can be 2 hours, sometimes it can be 4 hours, sometimes even a 20-minute power nap gets me by the day, but I suffer for it the next day if I only have 20 minutes. My diary is usually full nowadays with social appointments, or like college and swimming, aquarobics and things like that, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. So I just hope that when I go on the next drug that the side effects will be lesser than Sutent, but hopefully this journey has made me realise that there are going to be side effects, but they can be coped with. So I'm just looking forward to that. I would suggest to anybody that's going through a lot of side effects and different emotions at this time that, you know, it can come much better than what you're experiencing just now. I've had a great year the last year, but, you know, being perfectly honest, the last 3 years have been pretty good for me, and I never ever thought that I would ever experience that again. I would suggest that you joined groups, met up with people, spoke to people at the clinic, although a lot of people you might think of their own family and friends with them. Do make an effort, because the more information you get about kidney cancer, the better it is. Write notes, everything that you think of from one clinic visit to another, write it down. Even when you're going to your GP, put all that down in a bit of paper. Research as much as you can. You can go to the library and get books. There's a lot of information about kidney cancer, and the more that you gain, the knowledge that you'll gain from all this extra information will help you in your journey. Certainly that's what I've been doing. Part of the kidney cancer group for Scotland, and we meet for lunches in regular occasions, and there's also a kidney cancer patient day, and that's really invaluable to everybody that has kidney cancer. There's just so much information given at the time, and you'll also get another chance to meet your kidney cancer patients as well at that day. So I would recommend all this. Okay, and thanks for listening.